You called down the thunder, well now you got it. So run, you cur. Run! Tell all the other curs the law's coming! You tell them I'm coming! And hell's coming with me, you hear? Hell's coming with me!
Welcome to the Dynasty Defined podcast, a show discussing the most decorated program in the history of sports, the Oklahoma State Cowboys wrestling program. I'm Lee Cawthorn, joined by our co-host now, Daton Fix. Daton, welcome to the Dynasty Defined, group now. There's two of us, plus whatever gift hand it is. So thanks for joining, and glad to have you on board doing these things with me.
Yeah, I'm excited to keep doing them.
Wonderful. Well, it's Iowa week, so while they're up there, this cold front's coming through, so the Hawkeye fans are pressing their dress cargo shorts and loading up on the Busch Light to get ready for this big duel, which is going to be a great atmosphere. Number 2 versus number 3. Look, it's the premier rivalry in the sport of wrestling. There's just nothing like it. If we're being honest, Penn State and Iowa wouldn't wrestle if the Big Ten didn't force them to. If they still had divisions and they still were scheduling round robin the way they do, where it's East and West and all that stuff, then we wouldn't get that duel every year. So this is the thing that people go out of their way to stop down and watch. And with it on Big Ten Network, I think there's going to be a lot of eyeballs on it, and kind of the attention centers around this duel every single year. So really excited to stick with it, and really glad that the same ethos applies with Coach Taylor that did with John Smith and everybody before him. We're going to wrestle this duel. It's a big deal, and I'm glad that the Brands brothers feel the same way.
Yeah, it's an important duel for the sport of wrestling. There's so much history with both the programs. It means so much for both the fan bases. You can just really tell every time that these two teams step out on the mat. They both really want to win. And it's good for both teams. Coming down the stretch. It has been a little bit earlier in the year a couple times, but usually it's the last duel of the year. So it's just a good test. Headed into the conference tournament nationals.
And both programs pretty loaded up this year with a lot of talent, a lot of point scorers, but it's almost a strength versus weakness duel. Like we talked about UNI being the toughest duel of the season, and I still think that was a really difficult matchup, because where UNI matched up with OSU was in strengths, right, at 141, at 184, at 197. This one, it's a little bit more of a clear path to 5-5, and bonus points are going to matter a lot. It's a very even, and there could be upsets for sure, which we'll get into. So really exciting duel this year. I think that it is every year, and last year, the year before, you had to see some toss-ups go OSU's way to win the duel, and they didn't. And that was just kind of the reality that we lived in at that time. Now it just seems a lot more of a clear-cut thing, and not as many toss-ups, but who's going to win the bonus point battle, who's going to pull an upset, really plays in here. You wrestled in Carver once in your career. I'll let you get into that, but it is an interesting place to go out and wrestle. It's the rowdiest crowd in wrestling right now, and they are going to show out for this one for sure. Like I said, in their nicest cargo shorts and loaded up with the foam coolers of Busch Light. Like I said, that's how I know you're a Hawkeye fan. At Nationals, in Cleveland, it'll be snowing, and they're rolling around their cooler with Busch Light and wearing cargo shorts. So I respect that.
Yeah, Carver. it was a fun place to wrestle. Whenever you're going into like a hostile environment like that, you really have to just accept it. You know that the crowd's going to be against you. You know they're going to be saying, who knows what. And if you don't accept that and kind of embrace it, then that's whenever you see guys, not perform very well. So it's just important to just embrace being in enemy territory and kind of using that as fuel to go perform.
Yeah. You also add in a interesting wrinkle here with Thomas Gilman returning to Carver for the first time in a coaching capacity for his alma mater, where he was the guy. Like, he really embraced Iowa wrestling, and now but at the same time, since he moved over to Nittany Lion Wrestling Club and then now is in Stillwater, he's embraced being a heel in Iowa City, and he's plays that role really well, and I'm sure he's going to hear it from the Hawkeye faithful. But it just is an interesting wrinkle on this thing too, a little bit of added intensity for Hawkeye fans. Yeah,
it'll definitely be interesting to see how it plays out. Thomas has talked about it a little bit, how that they haven't really mended that relationship since he left. So it'll be who knows what's going to happen. I'm sure that one of the coaches are going to go out there and argue a call, and I'm sure at one point Thomas and one of the Brands brothers will be probably pretty close to each other. So it'll be interesting to see what happens.
A couple of comments on that. It is funny how the coaching staff at OSU has really toned down the animation. They're just a more relaxed group than we've seen in the past. OSU fans kind of forgot that quickly when Coach Flynn and company came into Gallagher, and they're like, what the heck is this guy doing? Getting up, and I was like, well, that's normal. It's weird that our coaches aren't doing it. But man, the Brands brothers they take it to a level for sure of getting after the ref and going out on the mat. And Terry will definitely threaten to fight you if given the opportunity. So that could be interesting if there's anything controversial, which who knows how that goes. But it's going to be fun to watch. It's going to be really, really fun to watch. I wonder if they'll let him check out his kids his silver medal when he's up there this time.
Yeah, we'll see.
Well, we definitely hope to be on the winning end of legendary moments in this one, right? I think that when you look back at the duel and all the different times, Gift Tanen's been posting a lot of clips from great moments in the history of the duel. You were in Gallagher when Nick Piccinini pinned Spencer Lee, and then of course you came out and kind of punished old boy that I'm totally Austin DeSanto for just stepping on the mat with you, in a route there for the Pokes a few years back. And then you've got Hard Elmore moments. You've got Pat Smith, Tom Ryan. You've got all the way back to the 60s of just legendary moments in this duel. And, you want to add to them for sure, but be on the winning end of it. All right. If you're one of the guys wrestling in this duel for the Pokes.
Yeah. It's definitely a duel you want to win. I've been in, plenty where we haven't won, and it's not a fun trip home. Whenever you lose this duel, and it's that duel in Gallagher, and I think it was 2019. It was definitely probably the most fun duel I've ever been a part of, and it just shows how much this duel means to the teams and just how important it is.
Yeah. Well, let's get into the match by match here. I imagine it's going to start at 125. that both programs like to start there, and both have guys that are pretty good off the scale right now. Troy Spratley, ranked number 4 in the country, taking on Joey Cruz, the former Sooner, who's stepping into that role there at Iowa. He's 12-8 on the year from Fresno, California, and he's ranked number 16 in the country right now. Last time they hit, Troy got a tech fall, and this would have been in a Bedlam duel a couple of years back in 2023. Gosh, that was last season, wasn't it? Man, time's kind of sneaking up on me. But
I think they hit an open tournament. I think
okay.
where it was.
That's right, because Joey never wrestled for OU, I guess. That's right, and he was at Minnesota at the time. Wow, totally had a brain fart on that one. But anyway, Troy got the tech fall there, 19-2, and hope to repeat that kind of result moving forward. But Joey Cruz has been wrestling really tough as of late. He's been keeping matches close and has picked up a couple of big wins, including against Brendan McCrone there from Ohio State, and just wrestling well at the moment.
Yeah, he's definitely someone who is trending up, I would say. He, started off pretty slow, but I think he's kind of adopted that kind of Iowa style, Iowa mentality, where he's just going out there and trying to wrestle hard and just make the match kind of a street fight. And I don't think Troy's gonna have much problem with that. He's whenever Troy really thinks that he can go out there and beat somebody, he usually does. And Troy does have a pretty big, he won by tech last time they wrestled, so I would expect Troy to come out kind of firing, especially in a big duel like this where he knows that it's going to be important for us to possibly get bonus points and just get the momentum going in our favor early.
Yeah, definitely flip side of that. Troy has been wrestling extremely well over the past few weeks. In his last 4 matches, he's picked up bonus points in 3 of them. So in the one that he didn't was a 10-5 decision against Trevor Anderson, who's probably about the same caliber wrestler as Joey Cruz. So, definitely would be good for him to go pick up some bonus points because, again, you're going to have to win the bonus point battle in this duel with it on paper coming down to 5-5. So, would be great to see for Troy. I think that is an interesting matchup. But Troy does well when it's a street fight. When it is a street fight, when a guy's working his hands, Troy tends to do pretty well in those situations. So, like him there. Reese Whitcraft has a big test against the number 2 wrestler at 133 pounds, returning national finalist here at 125 is Drake Ayala, who's 14-1 on the year out of Fort Dodge, Iowa. Ayala, of course, has been in the room at Iowa a long time, backed up Spencer Lee for a couple of years before getting his shot last season, and he really burst onto the scene. And now this year he's up at 133 and has been maintaining that same level of results here. It's just looked great up to this point in the season. And Reese, on the other hand, is wrestling tough. Had a tough match against Bailey of Little Rock, who scores at a much higher clip than Ayala does. But Reese kind of takes advantage of other people's mistakes, and I don't think a wrestler like Ayala is going to make many mistakes.
Yeah, he kind of wrestles on a knee sometimes. Has a really good slide by, so that's definitely something that Reese needs to be aware of. But Reese, he's in these big moments. Sometimes we see Reese, step up and kind of shock some people. So it's definitely a big opportunity for him just to go out there and become a legend. And I definitely think that Reese is capable of it. Obviously he's the underdog, but he does have a win over Ayala earlier in his career. I think Ayala was probably a true freshman then, or maybe even a redshirt freshman. But they did meet, I think, probably at the Southern Scuffler, some kind of open tournament a couple years ago. But obviously that was in the past, and Ayala has gotten a lot better since then. But he, it's going to be a big match. Definitely a match where Reese needs to kind of step up to the plate and perform.
For sure. Well, last duel of his career in the orange singlet, before we get into tournaments. So, hey, it's definitely a good opportunity for him to go put his name in the books here, right? Which he's got a ton of those opportunities, and of course, all the things that he's done for the team. But this would be a big one, absolutely. Tegan Jameson's up to number 5 in the country. He's taking on most likely Colin Shriver here at 141 pounds. It could be Ryder Block, who's 2-4 on the season, hasn't wrestled since the end of January. So I think they've kind of solidified Shriver in this spot. He's out of Mason City, Iowa, unranked. Doesn't look like he's going to qualify for NCAAs unless he can go take a spot at the Big Ten tournament. But yeah, Tegan, good opportunity here to go score some bonus points. What does he need to do to go get a major decision or tech against this kind of opponent?
Yeah, probably our first really good chance to get bonus points, I would say. And he just needs to wrestle kind of how he was during the start of the year. Really look to get to his post AA. And making sure you're getting up and through guys. That these Iowa guys they're gonna hand fight, pretty hard. So, it'll leave him open to hitting some of those posts to the AA. And I think that Tegan, he's kind of plateaued a little bit, but I expect him to pick it back up. Coming into this match and into the postseason. We kind of saw this last year with Tegan where he was having a really good year, and it just kind of coming down the stretch. He didn't perform as well, so I think that this year he's going to step up to the plate and get it back going here coming down the stretch.
Yeah, having a break here has probably helped. He didn't wrestle against Missouri due to an illness, and then having last week off probably helps quite a bit. You didn't have to worry about your weight. You didn't have to go out and fight somebody or do any of that, right? Like, he got some time to rest and recover, get his mind right, all that fun stuff. And now you come into this one and yeah, you've got a big opportunity to go get, 4, 5, 6 points for your team. It's got to be a helpful thing for Tegan to have had a little bit of time to just get himself right, maintain. I think that, if we could get late December, early January, Tegan Jameson back, where he's out there just stacking up points on guys like Sam Latona and Jordan Titus, that'd be huge for the team and for him. He's a guy, like we've talked about a lot, that you really want to see him jump up onto the podium this year. And then he's a great case study of okay, this is what Thomas Gilman, Jimmy Kennedy, David Taylor can do for a guy who wasn't a blue chip prospect. He's from Durant, Oklahoma, just a guy that got an opportunity and is developed into an All-American, right? And not just that, a guy who's wrestled extremely well against really tough opponents this season. He's had a lot of tests he's passed, against Brock Hardy. He wrestled tough against Cale Happel and Jacob Frost, right? His 3 losses are all the top 7 guys right now. And he's number 5. So I think that he's got a huge opportunity here. And going out and maybe getting off the mat quick would be really good for him.
Yeah, if opportunity presents itself to get a pin or something like that, in this duel, you definitely want to take full advantage of those opportunities.
Definitely. Carter Young is ranked number 18 in the country. He's taking on Kyle Parko, a super senior there for the Hawkeyes, who is 16-1 on the year, number 3 in the country, from Danville, California. Transfer from Arizona State. He's a couple-time All-American. I think he was at Fresno State as well and was an All-American there. So he's a bit of a journeyman in this era of college wrestling, and no fault of his own going from Fresno State. They cut their program, but. Parko's been wrestling really tough this year, has looked great at 149 pounds for the Hawkeyes, and he's one of the success stories in this transfer portal era where he's looked really, really good at Iowa in his graduate year. Not a lot can say that, and he's one that has. So going to be a tough test for Carter for sure. Parko's tough on his feet, hard to score on, probably going to be low scoring. Not the most offensive wrestler in the world, but Carter, if he's taking the time to work on that finish, then anything can happen, because we've seen him get to legs on guys like Kyle Parko before.
Yeah, Parko, he'll wrestle close matches with some guys, so if that's the case, Carter's definitely going to be in the match. And sometimes Carter gives guys troubles. It just kind of depends on the matchup, and we haven't seen these guys wrestle before, so you never know. You never know what's going to happen. We know that Carter can find ways to get to the leg. It's just a matter of being able to finish. So and he knows that, he's aware of it. So he just needs to keep doing what he's doing. Get to the legs and really focus on finishing quick. And just go out there and fight. It's going to be a hostile environment, so just use it as motivation. And like I said for Reese, if someone steps up and pulls off a big upset, they're going to be a legend in this duel for the rest of their lives. So why not Carter? Why not any of these guys? Just step up and just make it happen.
For sure. I mean, great opportunity for Carter. Would really improve his seating if he was able to pull off an upset like this, and he's capable. Just gotta finish when you get to a leg. That's just the Carter Young, and don't get underneath Parko, I think, is the other big thing for him here. Tough on top. So 157, you've got Caleb Fish, who's at number 14 in the country, taking on Ja'Cory Teamer, maybe. Who's 4-2 on the year, has kind of the opposite of Parko, hasn't wrestled a ton. He's still number 3 in the country. He's a couple-time finalist. I mean, he's a great wrestler, Corey Teamer, at Arizona State, but just haven't seen a ton of him this season. Hasn't put it on the mat very often. Just kind of the way he's been managed, I guess, this year. So in that case, we could see Miguel Estrada for Iowa, who is he's a true freshman. His red shirt did get burned, so he has no more dates to wrestle and it not count against his eligibility. So they might use him against Fish, but I don't know. I don't know what they're thinking. I don't know if they know what they're thinking in that one. Just who feels right at the time, and how does the first few weights go might play into it as well. The dangerous game, though, because Caleb Fish will put up bonus points on you, for sure.
Yeah, if Iowa really wants to win this duel, then they probably need Ja'Cory Teamer to wrestle. He's definitely someone that's he's exciting to watch. He has a tendency to kind of back up some, but usually he backs up so the guy starts to chase after him, and then he'll hit him with a kind of a shot from the outside. So it's kind of the opposite style that Iowa likes to wrestle. So it's interesting to see that he is there, but obviously he got a pretty big payday for going there. So it's probably it would have been hard for him to say no to that. So I understand.
Yeah.
I understand why he's there. But he's probably been dealing with some kind of injury. It sucks that hasn't really been able to go out there and wrestle a lot, but hopefully we see him this duel, and hopefully, Fish can go out there and pull the upset. He's someone he's a unique matchup for anybody he wrestles, just because he's really good upper body. So if it all it takes is one exchange upper body to take somebody to their back. So he's kind of always in the match, and he knows how to wrestle these close matches. They're both older guys, so it'll be a stingy match for sure if they end up hitting.
Definitely. Clash of styles in that case for sure. If it is Estrada does wrestle guys tough. He's kept it to 1 takedown matches against the ranked opponents he's had in Northwestern Trevor Chumbley, who I think beat Fish at the CKLV, Antrell Taylor, Ethan Miller. So I think that definitely not a slouch there in Estrada. He's a blue chip guy. So it's a good opportunity though for Fish, just like with all of them. But I'm curious to see him against Teamer. I think that would be a great opportunity to see how he stacks up against a guy who has come out and proven that he can, All-American, 3-time All-American. So it'd be a fun one. It's between this one and 197, I think, being the best matchup in the duel at 165 pounds. Cam Amin taking on Mike Caliendo there. Caliendo's 17-1 on the year, ranked number 2 in the country, and has just looked fantastic since he's been at Iowa, really. I mean, heck, he looked fantastic in North Dakota State, too. So, really, really great wrestler, really good in every position. Don't think he'll be able to score as easily on Cam Amin, but he has in the last year they wrestled a couple times and it went to sudden victory both times. So probably going to be about the same here, where if Amin can get his offense going early, if he can score some points, then he's got a good chance to pull off an upset. But Caliendo's tough to score on. He gets scrambly, and I think that this could be an excellent match in this duel.
Yeah, they wrestled 2 times last year, so they're pretty familiar with each other. And obviously it was close, both those matches. So, and that's something that we tend to see with Cam. He's never in a match where somebody's really going to blow him out. We've rarely seen that out of him. So, he's always someone that's going to be in the match. It's going to be a tough, just gritty match is what it's going to take for Cam to win this. Caliendo, he's always pretty much impressed me every time I've seen him wrestle. He's someone that is really good at getting to leg attacks and just putting up a lot of points on the board. So it'll be important for Cam just to be ready off that whistle, and I would like to see him kind of get to some rear attacks. You know that Caliendo's going to come out and fire off some shots. So I would expect Cam to be really focused on hitting some rear attacks and getting some putting up a couple takedowns. If he puts up a couple takedowns on Caliendo, then he's right. He's in a really good spot heading into the postseason.
Yeah. Well, and I think it's a mindset thing for Cam as well. His uncle put something out there about how they've been focused on making it fun for Cam Amin and for the whole team, really. And if he gets mad at himself, he has to go run or something like that. And so when we get to this point, this is probably also true. This is true for everybody. But when you get to this point and the stakes are high and you got all this stuff, pressure building, how can you take that and make it fun? And I think for Cam, what do you have to lose here? This isn't losing to Mikey Caliendo is not going to hurt you. Let her rip, right? Go make your shots, try to score off of his. And if you can get if you can win the first period, then you got a really good shot at winning this matchup for sure. So I'm excited to see this one. I think this is between this one and 197, the matches of the duel for sure.
Yeah, I think so too.
174, a bit of a question mark for Iowa here. Obviously, you got Dean Hamady going out, but they're toying around with their lineup at 174. Patrick Kennedy, number 11 on the year, 10-3 is his record. He is really, really good and has looked really good. But they threw Nelson Brands out there last weekend. Nelson back from his suspension. He got an extra year to wrestle this year, and then we haven't really seen him much. I think he's dealing with some kind of injury. But they threw him out last weekend. I think they're kind of in who's going to be the guy mode for their postseason. And I don't know. Either way, it's a tough matchup for Hamity. He's a guy that we want to go see score bonus points, and I think he's going to win either of these matches regardless. But there's a question of how many points can you put up? Right? He beat Kennedy in regular decision. Both these guys are super stingy, very good defensively. We've seen Brands wrestle Dustin Plott at 174 pounds, and similar thing. Plott would get his attacks off, but just couldn't score on Brands. I think that probably is what we see here, but Hamity has really taken his offense to a new level this season. I think that his confidence is through the roof, and I wouldn't count him out going out and getting a major or a tech against either of these guys. He's performed extremely well when he's faced the other top-ranked guys in the class. What do you think, Daton? Is that a realistic pick, or is it kind of a looking at it and thinking probably going to be a pretty stingy match?
It's going to be a stingy match, but with a 3-point takedown, it only takes three takedowns. You can even do it in 2 takedowns. 2 takedowns, an escape, and riding time. You can get a major if the guy only gets out once. So you can get a major. It's definitely hard to do with 2 takedowns, but if you can get a 3rd takedown, you're right in that position to get a major. And I definitely think that Hamidi's he's capable of getting 3 takedowns on either of these guys. It's not going to be easy. I would say if you're looking to get bonus points against someone that's stingy like that, then you really need to utilize that first period. Because if it goes 0-0 first period, it's you put yourself in a real tough spot if you're working to get bonus points. Unless you can find a way to get a turn on top, which Hamidi's really good on top as well. But whenever the guys just focus on not getting turned, it's pretty hard to get turned. And I would expect both of these guys to not give up back points pretty easy. But I definitely think that Hamidi's a pretty big favorite against either of these guys. If I had to say who would wrestle, I really couldn't tell you. I do know that he's 2-0 against Kennedy, and Brands is really stingy. We've seen him against Plott where it looked like Plott. He was shooting a lot, but he really didn't get very close to getting to his legs a couple times. So, I think that Brands is probably the guy to put out there if you're trying to limit bonus points. But I'm sure that they're looking at this match as they're trying to win, so they'll put the best guy out there for sure.
Yeah, could depend on how it's gone, right? Like if OSU gets bonus at 25-41 and keeps it to decision at 33-49, then you're probably thinking, okay, well, we might as well just Kennedy. If Kennedy's going to be the guy for the postseason, let's just throw him out there and let's see him how he stacks up against Hamity, who's a finalist contender, right? But I know that the national guys have it as O'Toole and Haynes, but I think it'd be kind of silly to count out Hamity against either of those guys. O'Toole's got some strengths that make it hard matchup, but Haynes, I don't know. We'll see. That's putting the cart before the horse, I guess. But I don't know. That who knows what they're thinking. They definitely get a little weird with their lineup sometimes, and that's probably going to happen at 184 too, where you've got Dustin Plott taking on their starter. It could be their starter, Gabe Arnold, who's 12-2 on the year, number 8 in the country. It's probably going to be Angelo Ferrari, hotshot freshman. We know who he is. But Tom Brand's basically said it, where he's going to he's going to use all 5 of Angelo Ferrari's dates to retain his red shirt, but they're not going to wrestle him against any cupcakes. And we saw him do it. They threw him out there against Carter Strachey. He's got one more date, and they've got one more duel. So I have a feeling we're going to see Angelo Ferrari in this one. And Angelo's an excellent wrestler. Say what we will. He's one that I've never heard a bad thing said about Angelo Ferrari. But from a technical and a skills perspective, he's way up there. I mean, he wrestled Strachey tough, got to a leg, couldn't finish. Strachey kept it close. He knew he could in that situation. I don't know if it would be a similar match between Ferrari and Plott. I think Plott's way more offensive. Would be looking to score more points there. So yeah, I mean, heck, Angelo better than I do for sure. You've seen him wrestle. I went up to Melissa and watched him a couple times here over the past year when they had moved back down here. Yeah, I mean, that's against Texas high school competition. So I'm curious what your thoughts are in this one, if that's the matchup that we see.
Yeah, Angelo's really good. He's a really good wrestler. Even for being a true freshman, he's someone that could probably he's probably definitely top 5 at the weight if he was to wrestle this year. And it's not an easy matchup for Plott. He's someone that he'll give up his leg sometimes. He'll give up some takedowns, so it'll be a great match. I think that if that's who we see them throw out, it'll be important for Plott just to just wrestle how Plott does. Get to your single leg, and just kind of overwhelm Ferrari a little bit. That Ferrari's he likes to kind of go backwards, a little bit like Teamer. He goes backwards, kind of wrestles on his knee, kind of wants you to come after him so he can dive in on some shots. He does wrestle out of an underhook a little bit. So Plott just needs to wrestle how he's been wrestling. He's been wrestling really good all year. And, I think utilizing the top position is important. Whenever you have a true freshman, it's important to test their ability to get out from bottom. So I would like to see Plott, put an emphasis on trying to hold him down a little bit, try to build some riding time. And I still think that Plott's the favorite and has all the tools he needs to go out there and get the job done against Ferrari for sure.
Yeah, I definitely think Dustin's going to pick up a win against either guy in this one. We saw him against Arnold last year, overwhelmed him really. Arnold didn't really have an answer for Dustin, although he wasn't able to put up a lot of points. It was just you could tell Arnold was beat. I kind of think that's the same case here against Angelo, but yeah, I mean, to your point, Angelo is really good in a lot of different positions, and Dustin could struggle against him. So it's an intriguing matchup, but definitely expect Dustin to take care of business. The other highlight match here, I didn't update my ranking here. I think Luke Serber is up to number 5 in the country, taking on number 1, Stephen Buchanan, who's 18-0 on the year out of Loyal, Wisconsin, former Sumer, former Wyoming Cowboy, who has looked really, really good this season. I mean, he's always been good. He's great defensively, really, really strong in positions where he just seems to control the mat really well. I guess it's, for lack of a better way to put that, he doesn't let guys get to his legs very often. He doesn't get into many weird scrambles. He just is really strong positionally and has excelled in his career in that way. And Luke has struggled with him in the past. On the flip side of that, Luke's wrestling better than we've seen him wrestle, period. He has been incredible, great in forcing scrambles, great in winning off of other people's offense, and then great on the mat. So I would be a massive win for Luke Serber in his career. We've seen him knock out the number one guy in the country before, though.
Yeah, I would say that this is. I've been saying it, the last couple episodes, that this is the best that Luke Serber's ever wrestled in his career, and I could probably say the same for Stephen Buchanan too. This is probably the best that I've ever seen him wrestle as well. So it's going to be a great match. I think it's going to be an entertaining match. I think that both these guys are they're going to be looking to score. Buchanan, he's not really the one to not try to put up points. He tends to go out there and tries to score for the most part. And I think that Luke's just in a really good spot. I think that he wrestled him last year, and it was close. It wasn't like he really blew him out of the water. And we know that Luke wasn't, he wasn't healthy. He wasn't the Luke Serber that he is now. So I expect Luke to be ready for this match, to be excited to go out there and wrestle the number one guy in the country. And I said it earlier. Someone's going to be a legend. So if Luke steps up to the plate and knocks off the number one guy to potentially seal the duel for the Cowboys, it would. I would say that makes him a legend for sure.
Without a doubt. Luke, when they hit last year, it was at Big 12s, and Luke just didn't seem right at the end of last season. I'm looking through here. The year before, where did they hit? They didn't hit the year before. Wow. Because he didn't wrestle in 2023. So this year, he did wrestle Cody Merrill, and it was a 2-0 decision. That's the thing. I'm looking at his schedule here, and against the top guys he's wrestled: Josh Barr, Isaiah Salazar, Trey Munoz, all Americans, and then Cody Merrill. He struggled to get his offense going, and I think that Serber falls in that camp for sure. And I mean, nobody's been scoring a lot of points on Serber. Nobody scored really any points on Luke Serber this year. So I definitely think that he's got a chance in this one. If you keep it close and you win good position in one of these, then you're going to come out of this thing with a win. Yeah, Luke's given up maybe 5, 6, 7 takedowns this year. So, yeah, I mean, I think that this is a match that is going to give Buchanan some fits for sure. And yeah, it's a huge matchup. Again, if you gun to my head and said you got to pick one between 165 and 197, I'm picking 197 and going to be just huge Luke Serber fan. But I think that that's just a great opportunity, and both these guys are just nails. I'm really excited to see them go out and wrestle. Before we get into heavyweight, Wyatt Hendrickson taking on number 11 Ben Keeter from Iowa City, the hometown boy there who is focused on wrestling. Did he go out and win a world championship this past summer?
I know he wrestled on the world team. I don't know if he won or not. He might have won. I think he's won in the past. I'm not sure if he won this past summer or not. But this is probably our best opportunity, I would say, to get bonus points. Just the way Wyatt's been wrestling. Yeah. He's just been awesome to watch all year. Comes out of the gate like a cannon and doesn't stop till the match is over. And usually that's before the time's ran off the clock, more often than not. So I expect the same thing out of Wyatt this time. This is going to be one of the biggest environments that Wyatt's got to wrestle in. So I expect him to really embrace that moment. Obviously we had a great numbers this year with our fans, but being on the opposite side, going into enemy territory where there's going to be probably 13,000 people cheering against you. It's a unique experience, and I expect Wyatt to just embrace it and go out there and wrestle how he's been wrestling.
Definitely. That's the kind of environment that he's in. Just he feeds off of it. And I definitely am excited to see him go out and kind of put a cap on the dual season. If he can get off the mat as soon as possible against this guy, that's a just massive win for Wyatt, and that kind of marks him down as even though we only got 1 year of Wyatt Hendrickson, it is definitely one of the most entertaining of the past, really of the past 20 years, I think, if we really look back on it. So really grateful that we got a chance to watch him. Keeter did win a silver medal at U20s this past summer. But I think this is his one season. I think he's going to go back to football after this year. The way he's been interviewing and stuff is the way it sounded to me. So yeah, really, really interesting situation there for the Iowa freshman, but Wyatt just has overwhelmed everybody he's wrestled from the number 3 guy down. All right, so I don't expect it to be any different in this case, and I don't see Keeter keeping him on the mat for 7 minutes.
Yeah, I'd say the same thing.
Well, again, on paper, this thing's 5-5. Got to win the bonus points battle. Wyatt Henderson gives you that advantage for sure, but it'd be nice to have some insurance from Hamity, Jamison, Spratley. And then if you can pull an upset somewhere, that would be amazing, right? So if Luke Serber can get the big upset, if Cam Amin, Caleb Fish, Carter Young, Reese Whitcraft, they'd really be writing themselves into the history of this rivalry if they could pick up a win here. So super pumped for this duel. As always, it's going to be fun, going to be lights out up there, and I can't wait till Sunday when we get to watch this thing. Daton, do you have anything that you want to leave us with in this one?
No, just I'm excited to watch it. I'd say definitely tune in to watch the duel. It's important that anytime the duel's on television, it's important to tune in and watch it and get those numbers as high as we can.
For sure. Well, Big Ten, it's on Big Ten Network, so your cable package most likely has the Big Ten Network. I know I have it on YouTube TV in Texas, so I imagine that if you have a cable package or Hulu TV or YouTube TV, then it's going to be on there. So you shouldn't be much excuse to go on and watch it this weekend. If you're struggling with that, I'd love to point you in the right direction. I think that just tweet or Instagram or whatever directly at Shane Sparks. He's your guy. So going to be exciting one. Daton, thanks so much again for the time and for breaking this down with us. And we'll be back next week talking about the pokes and breaking down the action. So before we get into postseason wrestling, it's the most exciting time of the year. We're sprinting towards March.
Yep, it's going to be fun.
All righty. Well, thanks for listening, and go Pokes.
Go Pokes.